Hello and welcome in. How is everybody tonight on a abbreviated version of Chatterbox Reds? I'm Eric Phillips. I'm here with Mike Hart. We are here joining you with not good news or bad news because our Cincinnati Reds have not lost a ball game yet. They did get 6 innings in this evening. They end this thing in a 3-3 tie with the Arizona Diamondbacks, who came into town. Mike, what's your initial thoughts on a rain suspended game? Haven't seen one like this in a few years.
Oh man, yeah, I was really hoping we could drive one in the 5th or the 6th inning. We had men on that guy on third base with less than 2 outs, and then Lux at the very end there with a pitcher that was throwing a soaking ball. I was really hoping we could get a hit there and just get through 6 innings, have the lead, and say, "See you later. We'll take that win." Complete game for Nick Lodolo, but didn't get that. We'll get to pick it up tomorrow. Do you have some details on how that game is going to be going tomorrow?
Yeah, so tomorrow you actually have we were already scheduled for a 4:10 start with the D-backs for game 2 of this series. This will now start at 2:10. And so this game will pick up in the top of the 7th inning, right where we left off. There's some details that I'll let you throw in as to what that means for our Cincinnati Redlegs, some good, some bad. But after that 3-inning game is concluded, 40 minutes after that, that 4:10 game will throw its first pitch. So the 4:10 start time tomorrow, if you're out and about, I believe they won't start before 4:10, but there's a chance you might have a little bit of time to get down there and get things figured out. So, and kudos to the home field advantage. It was our grounds crew and the weather guys working with the umpiring crew tonight. We were beat. This game was over. And we had a 5-inning game in that could have been completed. It was 3-2 going into the bottom of the 6th. They gave us the opportunity in the monsoon, and welcome back, Christian Encarnacion-Strand. Goodness, what a laser. He looks good. The swing looks short. The ball was flying. He hit a hard hit ball to center field earlier in the game. And then Tattoos wanted to tie it up and gives us a fighting chance. You were talking about those opportunities that we had, and we kind of spoiled. Honestly, man, I was hoping for the pass ball. Kid had already spiked one.
Yeah.
Put the catcher out of the inning. That hand swelled up, looked like he had a golf ball hiding underneath the webbing between his index finger and thumb there on his throwing hand. Kudos to that dude for trying to still stay in the game. But it gave us an opportunity. We got it. We had runners on first and third with 2 outs and couldn't quite get it in. Gavin Lux grounds out. It hits one through the puddle right to Suarez. And then I thought in the back of my head, like, man, I've seen Suarez yeet this ball over the first baseman's head a few times too. Maybe tonight's the night, but not so much luck. But I wouldn't want a game to end that way either. It would feel cheap, but I'd take it in a heartbeat. That's for sure. So
we'll take anything we can get these days.
Yeah,
you want to do a box score recap, abbreviated box score recap there, Eric?
Yes.
So get everything in there.
Yeah, absolutely. So this game started at 7:10 with first pitch down at Great American Ballpark. It was our number 2 guy in Nick Lodolo against Eduardo Rodriguez for the D-backs. Rodriguez being a left-handed pitcher, so a couple southpaws on the hill tonight. Very quiet first couple of innings. We go almost 3 up, 3 down. I don't think either team has a hit up until the third, but when the third comes around, that's when Lodolo ran into a little bit of trouble. Tim Tawas singled on a ground ball that went through the left side. And then Kettle Marte, a couple batters later, hit a 2-run shot into left field, and that ball carried pretty well out over the bullpen of the Reds, and that made it 2-0 D-backs. Very next pitch, Geraldo Perdomo hit his 7th home run of the year on a fly ball to left center field, which made it 3-0 D-backs in the top of 3. In the bottom of the third, Reds showed a little bit of fight, gave it back a little bit. Matt McLean singled, reached base for the 2nd time that game. And after Garrett Hamster grounds out to the shortstop, we get TJ Friedl off of a lefty, left on left, still batting at the top of the order, the most consistent offensive player you've got. And yes, that's going to be a callback later when we get into some situational baseball. The most consistent offensive player this Cincinnati Reds team has hits his 5th home run on a fly ball that gets out of here about halfway up, almost into that Budweiser deck out in right field. So that made it 3-2 D-backs. But awesome to see us get off the mat. It seemed like it could have been one of those nights where it's a lefty on the mound. We get a little bit of a hook, and then things kind of go south on us, and we never really mount anything. But that showed the initial fight of these guys. But then the game went quiet for a little bit. That's when the rain started to come in. We get the love of a double play ball, a great turn from Matt to Garrett Hampson. Hampson almost pulls CES off the bag with a throw. He keeps his foot down. Call gets overturned there in the top of the 4th. Get out of the inning there. Bottom of the 4th, we get a couple guys on. And that's the situation that we're probably going to dive into later, where Garrett Hampson actually gets I'm sorry, that's in the top of the fifth. Apology, or bottom of the fifth. In the third, we did get runners on, but did strand them. And in the top of the fifth, the D-backs went silently. In the bottom of the fifth, Garrett Hampson leads off with a double, and then TJ Friedl steps up to the plate again. Your most consistent offensive hitter in a 3-3 game that is now turning into a monsoon. We're in the bottom of the fifth, so we know that this game is tied, and we have an opportunity. This game is.
It's still 3-2. It's still 3-2 at this point.
Sorry, I'm terrible at this recap on the fly. When it's a 3-2 game, we know that this game could go official in the bottom of the fifth. You and I were texting back and forth about it. And so knowing that that's the case, they do everything they can to get that runner to third base by bunting TJ Friedl. Garrett Hampson moves up to third. We've got a runner on third with less than 2 outs, loaded up for our number 2 hitter. And what Tito Francona says is our most reliable situational hitter and one of our best hitters on our team. And he still hasn't hit a ball out of the infield tonight as freaking Santiago Espinal flies out to right fielder Randall Kachuk on a ball that maybe got 2 inches out of the dirt that should have been caught by the second baseman. Afterwards, Tyler Stevenson goes down looking, and we end the bottom of the fifth down 3-2. The rain picks up. A ball is hit to center field to TJ Friedl, and on Apple TV, you can actually see it in the background. As he's catching it, lightning strikes in Kentucky. And it's just like a kind of a spooky scene going on. Are we really going to let somebody get hurt in here tonight for the sake of trying to get this thing in? But the Reds go into the top of the sixth. They get their outs. It is still 3-2, as we said. And in the bottom of the sixth, Spencer Steer strikes out, but then Christian Encarnacion-Strand hits a laser out to the green area right in front of the batter's eye out in center field, tying the game up, making it 3-3. Jose Trevino then singles on a wild pitch that ends up taking out the catcher because it hits his throwing hand, advances to second base. Will Benson then grounds out. Jose Trevino gets to third. Matt McClain walks, and that brings up Gavin Lux pinch hitting for that at that point is actually pitch hitting for Garrett Hampson because things had flipped around. Will Benson had pinch hit for Connor Joe in that inning as well. And so in doing so, Gavin Lux grounds out the third baseman, Eugenio Suarez. It was all Tommy Thrall could talk about. That was the one cool thing about watching on Apple TV tonight is you can listen to the local Reds radio broadcast. And so it was cool listening to the Cowboy and Thrall. And they were absolutely dumbfounded that game had continued. And as was I. I'm watching, you could see the shine of the infield, showing off the dirt there. And it was something like I've never seen. It would have been a cool night. Kudos to the folks that were behind home plate in those Diamond Club seats. Those seats aren't cheap, and you usually get some pretty uppity fans down there. But there were some little girls down there that were just giving it the business, man. They're down there dancing. It's raining, it's storming, it's thundering, it's lightning, and they're down there just getting after it while the game's going on. But that does send us to the bottom of the sixth. As soon as that inning's over, they roll the tarp out. Another Reds field team incident tonight by a guy getting stuck underneath of the tarp and made some comedic relief for the folks to call in the game on Apple TV. But in the top of the seventh is where we'll pick this thing up at 2:10 tomorrow.
Yeah. Thanks for that recap, man. Hi. Ooh, the fact that we even got to the bottom of six was wild. I think an underrated thing was how quickly we got out of the top of the six, right? Ground out, line out, ground out, just real quick. I think if that doesn't go quickly, then maybe they don't send us out for the bottom of the sixth. And that umpire was like, we are getting through the bottom of this inning. There's no I think Cowboy says is like you could see the standing water everywhere. I think I've never seen any game go this long without with this much rain, I think is what Tommy Thrall said. So it was impressive to see. I'm glad we showed some fight and got back up to it, got back up and off the mat and tied the game, and hopefully we can go win it tomorrow. But one thing to mention about tomorrow is there was somebody notably absent from the game today. Elly De La Cruz, who was back home, rightfully so, unfortunately, with his family after the death of his sister. But he came back today, wanted to play today, didn't quite make it in time. But because it is suspended and he wasn't replaced anywhere for the bereavement leave, he was just on the bench. He could come back and play tomorrow. So we talked, we burned our lefties, right? Benson and Lux are now in the game, so vulnerable to a left-handed pitcher. But we have Elly. We have the ultimate super sub that we can send in there. And maybe we can talk a little bit later about where we think we should deploy Elly. Should he just be in the lineup in the 7th? I mean, probably, right? Just 1-for-1 with Lux, and then we move Matt back to second base, or maybe Espinal, and then you move Lux to third, McLean to second, and then Elliott short. What do you think? Where do you think they should put him in?
I think you can move Espinal out to left. Let me think this through, because you've got Steer current as it sits. You've got Steer in left, Espinal at third, McLean's at short, and Lux is at second base. That's what you're staring at. Where does Elly fit in? What somebody had mentioned with Lux making the final out, Elly could replace Espinal and bat second. So Lux being your final out, that would make Elly could hit second and replace Espinal. So if Espinal goes, you've got the void at third base. You got Elly and Matt on the left side of the infield. Like I kind of like leaving Lux at second. I mean, it's not something for the foreseeable future. It's a 3-inning ball game. Do what you can to win this thing. I mean, I let Elly play third for an inning or two. You know what I mean? Like, and
that's
see
interesting.
How that goes.
He played third in the All-Star game. Yeah.
It's not a foreign position from shortstop. Or if Matt McLean wants to move over there, do whatever you got to do. Gavin Lux is going to have to stay in the game. Otherwise, you're going to lose him. You know what I mean? So now if I'm the D-backs, I'm scrambling and remind me, there's a 27th player that gets added to the roster. Is that only for the second game?
Oh, that's
when
interesting.
It's that situation?
I don't know.
Because if I'm them, I'm going down and finding the best lefty I've gotten to minor leagues and bringing him up to throw 3.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure nobody can play in this game that was not on the roster card that was given to them today. Okay. So if they may be allowed to add somebody for the next game because it's technically a doubleheader. I don't know how suspended games work versus full doubleheaders. So we may be able to put a 27th man there for that. But I see somebody saying make Elly the DH. The only problem with that is Stevenson is our DH, and he is our only, now that we don't have wins on the roster, and we'll get to that a little bit later. If something happens to Trevino, Stevenson can't come back in this game, and we now have nobody to catch. So I think I'm not sure if with the current situation that we have, if putting him in at DH is necessarily our best bet, especially with both of them in there. But yeah, I think you're probably right, or I forget who said it, but I think that probably inserting him for Espinal will be the case, and then either having Lux play third and moving Matt over and have Elly play short, which is actually probably what I think they'll do, or just slot Elly in at third base and leave everybody else as is. So I think that'll probably be either one of the two. I mean, the only other option is they save him to be a pinch hitting weapon. So, but I mean, the people that you would pinch hit for are either Espinal or Lux. And I just like, if you're pinch hitting for Lux, you're probably pinch hitting against a left-handed pitcher, and Ellie's still not very good against left-handed pitching. So I would imagine
if they come out with a lefty and it's a good situation right off the bat, you just tell Elly to be ready. If they decide to put a lefty out there and it's Lux, I think you do flip, and then Matt McLean goes back to second base. Elly goes into short, because then you get to go. And thank you to the Chatterbox team that's throwing that in there. I'm guessing that's Kirby or somebody in there taking care of us. Due up is Friedl, Espinal, Stevenson, Steer, CES. Yeah. With Lux making the final out, you could wait until it comes around to avoid the Lux Friedl back-to-back against the lefty. And you could hold Elly. Not that Ellie's not great on defense, but what you're going to have to do is probably not put one of your best defenses forward. And so you wait on him, figure out where they're going to implement the lefty, put him in for Lux in that situation, and then you kind of go from there, and you can kind of go back to a normal team. So I love what they're thinking to do. So if they bring in a lefty, then it would definitely make sense to save him.
So if bottom 7 it's a lefty, then they're going to leave Espinal in to hit. If it's a righty, then I bet you it's Elly hitting for Espinal, and then we go from there. So we'll see how that goes. I hope that they can come in rejuvenated and really take it to Arizona. This is a really, really good offensive team. And Lodolo did a very good job, I think, of mitigating. I just had one bad inning. So hopefully we need to score runs because this Arizona team can really put them down. It's definitely, especially hitting home runs. I think they came back against the Braves in their last game where they were down 6 in the 9th inning and they came back and won. So no lead safe here. We need to get runs. We need to do that no matter how our bullpen is feeling. It's like let's get in there and do that.
Yeah, the other nice part about the way that this game plays out is you get Nick Lodolo to go all 6, and so we don't burn anybody else. They burnt a bullpen arm tonight. Actually, they burnt 2, and so they get to 2 pitchers tonight on top of what Rodriguez. And no, never mind. It was just
no, just one.
Just made it. I didn't realize he had made that full inning. I thought he had come out for some reason, but it was a visit to the mound in that last inning is what it was. But in doing so, they had to get into their bullpen. We did not have to get into ours. And coming off the day off, that's 2 full days of rest. So we should be as good as we can be. I would imagine you still bring somebody up from Louisville. I don't know where everybody's at and when the last time Maxwell's thrown, when the last time Luis May's thrown and things like that. Or do you go down and find whoever's day it is to start and bring them up in long relief because you're probably going to have to throw 3 relievers in that first game, which means they're probably not throwing in the second game. You only get one 27th man. And
I think Kirby is saying that with the suspended game, you don't get the 27th player. So I think
in the suspended game, though, I think they do get one in the second game.
Oh, we'll see. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we'll take a look at the MLB rules, and if I'm wrong, there, apologies to everybody. The time chiming in, but it's fun to think of like how this thing's going to play out, and who would have thought missing a flight in Newark, New Jersey, and not being on the bereavement list as he's trying to come back is going to be a situation where we actually get to use our big dog in this thing. That's going to be a lot of fun. So
it's an interesting thing too, because if he plays in this game, then it counts as him playing. In all, and if he plays the rest of the games, he still has a chance to play all 162, which I know is a huge big thing for him. And this was going to, and it's not that big of a deal if you only play 161, but this is a neat opportunity to be able to at least keep that streak alive and hope that he can play the rest of the season.
Yeah, and that would be awesome. And I'm seeing a lot of people talking about how this is turning Tito's grind into a pretzel. I hope Charlie Goldsmith gets the chance to talk to Tito tonight and just starts throwing just wild situations at him and just watching the wheels turn and have this thing put out. So, unless the game was suspended early. Okay, got it. So we're seeing it. Check the MLB rules. Yeah, we'll put that up on the screen here. And for those listening in podcast form, we don't believe we do get a 27th player, and so your bullpen is put into a pretty crap situation. You're going to probably asking them to get 6 or 7 innings without any question. Even if you get 5 or 6 out of the starter in the second game, you're going to be looking for 3 innings to finish this thing. And you're going to be looking, and if the Reds do get a lead, we've got to throw 1 more inning than what the D-backs do. You know what I mean? And if we're able to close this thing out the right way. So we're just
fortunate we had 2 days off. Basically, we had yesterday off, and then they had today off too. So hopefully they're going in full strength, and we'll see what this bullpen's able to do for us. Hopefully, offense. Let's just score like 5 runs in the bottom of the 7th, and then we'll just have Lyon Richardson finish the game. How's that?
Yeah, I'll take it. I like Lyon Richardson's toughness too. And there's something about getting off the mat tonight too that we've not seen. We've talked about it before on these shows where once they get down, you feel like they're out. And the Friedl homer was nice, and it was kind of like is that a run into one? But the fact that 2 different players helped us make the comeback gives me that little glimmer of hope that maybe there's an energy that's starting to find its way into the clubhouse that we can get something going here. And that's one of those. I love the gumption. You know what I mean? Like I like what I saw tonight. We had terrible elements. You had a really good hitting baseball team that we kind of kept at bay. Really, I thought Lodolo threw really well outside of 2 back-to-back pitches there. You know what I mean? I thought he was locating the fastball. He was able to throw most of his stuff for a strike. His pitch efficiency was there, allowed him to get through 6. He handled the elements pretty well. Like that thing could have got away from him against a team that is not just good, but they're good from the right side. And so between Suarez and Gurriel and all those guys, I mean, they're all ready to mash. And he was able to weather the storm and get out of there 6 innings of 3-run baseball. That's not too bad. So we look ahead to this thing and try to get it going. But tonight, the biggest ball hit is our boy CES. You want to tell us a little bit more about it?
Yeah, tonight our DSC deep drive of the game is Christian Encarnacion-Strand, 418 feet, only 103.2 off the bat. And I say that because his single earlier in the game was harder, 107.7 off the bat, which is crazy. I'm glad to see him stroking. But so this ball went 418 feet and had a win probability added of 19.4, which is very interesting. Usually it's either up to 0 or down to, or up to 100 or down to 0 when you have your deep drive of the day. But because we're suspended, the win probability on StatCast literally says it's 50-50. Yeah, it's just like we're tied going into the 7th inning. It is 50% chance for both teams to win this game. So let's hope that we can do that. Do you have the rest of the read for DSC?
Yeah, so our guys at Deep South Commodities are amazing to us, and our deep drive of the day is sponsored by Deep South Commodities. DSC is a leader in renewable commodities for biofuel production, specializing in used cooking oil collection, aggregation, and sales. Visit deepsouthcommodities.com for more information. Thanks, as always, to our friends at DSC. So what topics we want to get into tonight? It's going to be a little bit of an abbreviated show for an abbreviated game, but I know we want to touch on kind of the strategy, which we've already kind of delved into, but I want to make sure that we kind of get everybody ready for this thing tomorrow. If you're listening to this, happy Saturday to you. Hopefully we get a chance to get down to the ballpark and catch 2 of these things today. Again, game suspended tonight after the bottom of the 6th inning. It's a 3-3 tie. They will resume play at 2:10. Your tickets, I believe for the 4:10 game, will get you into that first one. And then also, once that game is over, 40 minutes afterwards, they will throw the first pitch of that regularly scheduled 4:10 start for tomorrow. So Tyler Stevenson bobblehead day down at the ballpark tomorrow. It'll be interesting to see how they navigate that. But it should be a good Saturday. I know it's rain early and then rain late, but I think midday, it's not a bad day for a 4:10 start. So we'll see how this
Nick Kirby
goes.
will be down at the game too.
That's right.
Our resident celebrity. So if you see him, make sure you say hi.
Yeah.
Looks like we have a super chat as well from Michael Rolfe. Says Kirby can't stay away. You guys are awesome. Yeah. It's his day off and he's still chiming in. So
he's in Cincinnati. He's in Cincinnati. I think he's probably tuned in on his phone, typing away. He's got the Twitter fingers going. So, and there's a chance that's not Nick. I know there's a couple other guys that have that tag and the ability to chime in from time to time under that moniker. But whoever it is, thank you, because you're helping us out as we kind of try to rip this thing on the fly. Mike, you're a little better at knowing what's going on down AAA way. Louisville wise, we have Luis May, who's had a good start, or had a good appearance, 2 good appearances since being demoted. You've got Maxwell, who's not made an appearance yet. Is there an opportunity that tomorrow you bring up an extra arm and send somebody down? Like, I know that we're not getting the 27th, but is there a situation where you feel like you're going to need one and you make a quick up and back move to maybe, kind of free something up just to make sure?
Yeah, I'm not sure. So the thing with Maxwell is I don't think he's on the 40-man. So they would have to make it. They'd have to make a adjustment or something like that. So maybe I'm not sure who you send down if you do that, right? If you make an adjustment, it's just like there's Jabot, Suter, Rogers, Santillan, Barlow, Richardson, Ashcraft, Pagan. So I'm not sure if there's the only people there that I believe have options are Richardson and Ashcraft. And I don't think you're sending either one of them down.
Both of those guys are ready to do what
pretty
you need
well. Yeah. So
yeah.
If you're gonna make room for somebody like Luis May, you'd have to DFA Rogers, Jabot, Barlow, one of the, and I don't think that probably doesn't happen. So we'll see. I think because they've now had 2 days in a row, I bet you they're probably just going to sit tight. But we'll see. Who knows how all that's going. Because nobody pitched, I think we'll probably be good. We're just going to expect a lot of work out of the bullpen tomorrow.
It's a 2-inning day for everybody that steps out there.
Yeah,
you got to
exactly.
go in thinking 2. I mean, Santillan for 2, Pagan for 1, close out game 1 and get out of there. Hopefully you come out and you have a lead, or you can build a cushion to where you can throw your Jabots and things like that, or just let this thing go one way or the other. So
right. And And speaking of coming up from Louisville, though, CES tonight, showed he was ready. I was so excited to see that he was back in the lineup, just hitting missiles again. What were your thoughts on what he can do when he's healthy in this lineup and what he adds to this lineup?
It looked different to me tonight. His swing looked different. It looked more compact. It looked like it was more of a contact swing than a power swing. And yet we still hit a ball 408, or he still hit a ball 418 feet. And so that tells you just the brute strength that this guy has. I don't know. And I'm not swing out analysis guy. I mean, he's a Major League Baseball player. He doesn't need me critiquing what he's doing. But it just seemed like that, like he was able to stay out over the plate a little bit more, be in the zone a little bit more. And when that bat, contacted that ball, he hit the center field on a base hit. That was a smooth swing too. That was a bad pitch that he put out there. So if he's going to see the ball, if he's going to hit a ball 107 miles an hour on a ball that I think was out of the zone, I mean, that's a great way to come back and get started, and to hit a ball through the rain like that. I mean, that's a muscle job that he put out to center field. I mean, that thing was on a rip, and it was raining, pouring down rain. Ball's heavy. I mean, it's not going to fly as far, and he was still able to get one out there to the batter's eye. So I love to see it. I hope there's a confidence in him that he comes back just ready to go on a tear, because he can really make the difference in games, because when he hits, he doesn't hit for singles. You know what I mean? He's not an on-base guy. He's a clear the bases guy.
Especially against left-handed pitching. If he can be the thumper in the middle of the lineup against left-handed pitching, that is just something that we have been sorely lacking, especially when Austin Hayes is on the IL. So if he can, even if he just smacks around a bunch of lefties and is league average against righties, man, that is just a sight for sore eyes for this lineup. Because I mean, I don't know how he was struggling, but I don't know how much of that is that injury, right? He's struggling with his back. How soon is that starting to bother him? And especially with your back and with all the rotation in his violent swing, that it's like, you don't know how much that is affecting him. It's just good to see him back, healthy, hitting missiles, and more importantly, hitting left-handed pitching. So that's I was just really encouraged to see a guy come back from a rehab assignment and like actually do well, which we haven't seen in a few of our rehab assignments. See Tyler Stevenson, see Matt McClain, see even
Hunter
Austin
Greene.
Hayes. Yeah, Hunter Greene. Yeah. So
because that's not a rehab, but coming back from injury, lasted 3 starts and going back.
Yeah.
So the injury bug has bitten us, and it seems like it's bitten the same guy several times as we try to get this thing rolling. We originally, taking a look at the lineup tonight, seeing him put back in, and he immediately goes to the 5 spot. I feel like there's a confidence there in what they've seen from him at AAA that it's not. He didn't come back up to go down. Like it's not a come up and prove yourself. I feel like I've heard Trace and Nick talk about it several times, where I hope Benson gets this leash. I hope he doesn't have to continue to prove himself and he gets a quick hook back down to the minors. I think this CES move into the 5 hole shows a confidence in him, and hopefully he understands that, like, hey man, take a deep breath and relax, because you're a major league ball player. You deserve to be here. Now that you're healthy, let's get these numbers out of you that we know that you can do, and we'll hopefully be in a better spot, because Hayes now eligible to return on Tuesday. Thank you to the chat for that. And then Jamer Candelario had a double tonight down in Louisville before that game got suspended down in Norfolk. So I'm excited to see what this lineup could be, because man, when it came out, I sent you the text message of, dude, this is gross. Seeing Connor Joe and Garrett Hampson in a starting lineup, and the hamster, got the wheels turning and
got himself a double today. Yeah,
got himself a double tonight, and then we blew it by having TJ Friedl lay down a bunt. Yeah, having Friedl lay down a bunt and not giving our best hitter a chance to swing with nobody out. You want to make that a topic here for a minute? Because
sure,
it pisses me off, because it's a situation where I understand you need the 1 run. TJ Friedl is mainly a pull hit guy. The shift goes on him and everything like that. If he pulls a ball to the right side, you get the same thing. He's a contact guy right now. He's not striking out at a high clip, and he's one of the best opportunities you have to serve a ball into the outfield for a base hit or an extra base hit. And you take the bat out of his hands by asking him to bunt. If it was the surprise bunt that he's laid down a couple of times, I could see that as a better answer. He showed it on pitch 1. He showed it early on pitch 2. He laid down a beautiful sacrifice bunt. In terms of like executing what we were trying to do, that's exactly it. That's how you write it up. And then he's thrown out at first base, and we're 1 out. and the bat's in Santiago Espinal's hands. And so you've literally tailored the game is in the balance because we're down 3-2. It's pouring down rain. It could be over right after this. And you put that thing onto the feet and the same damn 2-hole hitter that we can't stand and that we can't have there because of this situation. Santiago Espinal is 1 for his last 26, I believe now, and it's getting worse. Like there is a just void in that 2-hole, and to set things up for him like that in that situation just seemed like a bonehead move when you're trying to play small ball in a place where you took the bat out of your best hitter's hands.
Yeah. And he also, remember, in his last at bat against his lefty, he had homered. So like I'm with you. I probably wouldn't do that either. I do understand it a little bit. Just to play devil's advocate here, it's pouring down rain. He does lay down a really good bunt, and Suarez has to make a bang bang barehanded play in the torrential rain to get him barely at first base. So you mentioned earlier, we've seen that play where Suarez airmails first base, scores, and everyone's saying, what a genius idea to, put the ball in play and get the elements, use those to your advantage. So I think I'd probably still stand with you, though. It's just like, I'd really way rather him just try to serve one into the outfield. Especially with Hampson running. Hampson's very fast foot speed, but you got to put something in the outfield. Espinal, you got to do something. The infield's
Squeeze.
Squeeze him. Maybe even do that. Maybe then bunt again. I don't know. It's just, it was really frustrating to see this guy, that we've anointed as, or that Tito's anointed as our best situational hitter. You ground into double plays all week and then not be able to get a guy home from third. So, frustrating. We'll all be better if Elly pinch hits for him in the 7th and hits a bomb. So, we'll feel better about that. But yeah, it's pretty frustrating when it comes to this is just something that we've grown accustomed to, and we shouldn't, right? The fact that we can't get a guy in from third base when there's less than 2 outs, like a sac fly, is something that we celebrated when Connor Joe did it a couple games ago. Like, it was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe someone did it. It's like, no, this should be something that you just are able to do as a baseball team. It's pretty frustrating that's, we come to expect them to not do it rather than make the good baseball play.
Yeah, no, it's one of those, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. If they don't bunt him and Friedl strikes out, you're left with that guy out there. You're still sitting at 2 outs, and like you said, the rain's coming. So I do love. So I'm actually an advocate for small ball. I wish we did it more often. It's just in that spot, it felt like you're not playing with your gut at that point. He's playing the numbers and thinking that this game's going to end early, in which we still get another inning out of it. Like, if he knows that game goes from the bottom of the 5th and makes it to the bottom of the 6th, does he make that call? Or does he see the rain and think that this thing's stopping once this is over and we could lose this game if we don't get that run in? Like, what's the sense of urgency there versus where his gut's at? But yeah, just another one of those. And if you're getting it ready for anybody other than Santiago Espinal, I feel good about it. Like, that's a contact hitter. I get it. But the contact is a slow roller to third base and a ball that he doesn't hit an extra base hit ever. But if you're feeling lower than what Santiago Espinal's last 26 at bats are, we do want to remind you that you can call or text 988 anytime, day or night. The 988 Suicide Crisis Lifeline is a place to get support for anything related to mental health, whether it's an immediate crisis, simply wanting to find out how to connect with care, or anything in between. It's a 100% confidential, secure, and anonymous way to reach out for help when you don't know where else to turn. To connect, call or text 988 or mantherapy.org to get help. And it's okay not to be okay. Yeah, so I just hate that it's set up for him, and it's just another case in point as to we can't get Austin Hayes and Jamer and all these guys back healthy enough so that we can get a legitimate 2-hitter in this thing, because Ellie's going to need some pressure taken off of him here very soon.
Yeah, that's interesting. Those guys are probably coming back soon, and I think that the pretty obvious moves are Connor Joe to AAA and Hampson DFA, right? That's for Hayes and Candelario coming back whenever. I think Hayes is coming back on Tuesday, so after this weekend.
Do you end up with too many outfielders in that situation with no, because it's Candelario, it's 1-for-1. So you go Connor
Yeah.
Joe for Austin Hayes. I guess you lose maybe a little bit of defensive
Yeah,
replacement
so
ability, but you've got Benson in there. So your outfield becomes Benson, Friedl, Hayes, Fraley, Lux
and then
can.
yeah, and Steer also can
Yeah,
apparently
Steer can. So
tonight,
you've got
so
6
some
total. Yeah.
flexibility. And then at first base, you have CES and Steer. I wonder if Steer is going to start playing a little bit more left field now that CES is back, just to get him in the lineup. And then I don't know if Candy has a starting spot when he's back, but Nick mentioned this a couple days ago on this. Candelario is a lot better option than Garrett Hampson. I got no problem with Candelario sitting on the bench. So a guy who can cover third, he can cover first as well, and maybe even give you a pinch hit at bat later and sit the bench and maybe start one game a week. Like,
Yeah.
he's way better than Hampson in that situation. And so
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. He's just I don't think he's coming back with a starting spot.
And before these guys had started to come back, before Encarnacion-Strand hits it tonight, we were talking about like where's Stevenson going to get at bats because Wins is still here. That's where the Wins move makes sense to me. Like, did I want to lose him? No. Would I rather have him hitting tonight than Garrett Hampson? Yes. In some capacity, yes. But then that would force Fraley or Benson into the outfield in order for this thing to work. In a situation like tonight when Elly's not there and available. So I get when they're looking at the short term, kind of like why that move made a little bit more sense. But yeah, the days of Garrett Hampson, I don't think we're gonna have to talk about the hamster wheel for much longer. But I think the what's coming is a more solidified lineup that feels more professional. Like we're not on rent a player situation, and it's going to be nice to kind of feel whole again.
Yeah.
You're still going to be without Hunter Greene, which is a massive loss. But from a lineup standpoint, hopefully the days of getting shut out are gone. You know what I mean? Like it's not I feel like we're actually threatening 1 through 9 once Hayes, Candelario, and the weapons are not just in the lineup, but also sitting on the bench. So your righty lefty matchups and things like that. You're not turning to Blake. I mean, think about it. I don't feel like we've ever been full strength. It's always been Blake Dunn or Jacob Hurtubise or
Injured
Connor
Spencer
Joe.
Steer, even,
Yeah,
Spencer Steer when he was hurt and it's still playing. Yeah. So it's just, I think I completely agree. Having a full, like what was meant to be the offense going into the year, I think all healthy is like as the summer warms up and the ball starts flying out of Great American, I think that we can see some movement on this offense because then what that also does is it takes Espinal out. He no longer needs to be the guy you put at the top of the order against lefties or righties. He's a guy that you can slide in against lefties batting 6th or batting 7th. And I feel way better about that, so it just lets everyone kind of fill back into the role that they were meant to be on this team. And when you do that, I think you're set up for much better success. So it would be great to can we get like a month of our offense there, not injured, humming, and, being able to go into a game being like, yeah, we have a good chance to score 5-6 runs every game. So I would like that. I know that injuries are part of this, but man, I just would like to let the offense get hot and really pick up where, the fill in for Hunter Greene. I don't know if you want to chat a little bit about Wade Miley, but I don't love this idea, this test for going Wade Miley in Cleveland. He didn't look sharp at AAA. He didn't look sharp on Sunday or on Thursday or whenever he pitched last. So I just have a hard time seeing that this experiment's going to go very well. But I don't know what you think about that whole process.
I think Wade Miley sets you up for, you were just talking about the options that are left out there in the bullpen. And I think he's going to set you up in some spots where you're going to be in a 10-game stretch without a day off. And he's going to have 2 starts where he goes 3 innings, and you're going to have to turn to that bullpen. And he's going to be another reason why this bullpen gets taxed. Like you've got a situation where Brady Singer is already kind of giving that to you and giving you 5 and things like that. And there's been depth in places there. Nick Martinez has gotten better, but he's shown the inability to get through more than 4 or 5, and especially once he gets to the lineup a third time. And so I worry you've got too many pitchers because that's 3 out of the 5. And you're counting on Nick Lodolo to be that guy and Andrew Abbott to be that guy that can give you that length to give the bullpen the rest in those situations where you don't have a day off. But when trying to figure out, how you're literally trading the ace of the staff for the fifth starter. Like that's a terrible trade. Now, can you go down and get somebody that's more exciting, that has the ability to be maybe the number 3 starter on this team in like a Chase Burns? Yeah. Or can you go bring a Chase Petty back up and, maybe the third time's the charm? I would feel more optimistic and like there's a puncher's chance of that happening. But I think just from a professionalism and what he can bring, maybe it's something that works out. You sign him on a 1-year deal. He is an innings eater. Like that's what he's known to be in terms of being there and being available. And then now that he's back from this Tommy John, maybe he settles into being a guy. He's what I remember what we would look for in Luke Weaver and who was the Ben
Lively.
Ben Lively in those days when it was Andrew Abbott had come up and was throwing well, Hunter was throwing well, Lodolo was getting his starts and things like that. And then it got to those two and you're going, God, just get us to the fifth. Just get us to the fifth to just let us breathe. Like that's all you hope for. Every Wade Miley start, get us to the fifth inning. That's all I'm after.
Yeah, exactly. And one thing to note, it is not I think the last time that Wade Miley faced Cleveland, we had this whole guy go on. Let me see if I can I'm going to get my poster of it.
Oh,
we had our no hitter, I believe, was against Cleveland. So
that's
hopefully
right.
hopefully we can get that in there. If anybody has any Hulk tattoos around, please make sure Wade Miley has them going into the Ohio Cup. It would be great for Wade Miley to reprise his no hitter in Cleveland for us as we go to finally take that cup, the Ohio Cup from Cleveland. I know, isn't Corey T, isn't he going to be at one of those games, right?
Yeah, so Corey T and the boys from the Faded Boys Barbershop there in Cambridge, Ohio are going to be up there as a whole clan. I think Kirby's going to be there as well. So, yeah, we'll be well represented of Chatterbox Reds up in Cleveland. So, for those of us just joining, the Reds did get a suspended game this evening. It is a 3-3 tie. I'm seeing a couple folks in the chat asking what's going on. It's a 3-3 tie. Game suspended until 2:10 tomorrow. They will restart then. Pick it up in the top of the 7th. We've got 3 innings to win a ball game. 40 minutes after that, the regularly scheduled 4:10 game will start, and we'll be ready to go. But Mike, you and I have been going back and forth. We've talked about kind of what the situation is tomorrow. We've talked about the fact that when Elly doesn't go on bereavement, he's actually on the roster tonight. That means Elly can come back in for those 3 games tomorrow when he gets back into town. We've talked about Wade Miley and what that's going to be coming up later on Monday. I think one of the last topics I want to get into here is what is the order of your bullpen tomorrow, knowing that whoever throws can't come back out and probably throw in game 2, because game 1 is very winnable. And I think you have to throw your guys right off the bat. To me, it's Ashcraft for 2 to Pagan, and then hopefully some form of Santillan to Jabot, to Barlow, to Rogers, and you just throw the kitchen sink at the back end of that one. And then I would almost maybe put Santillan on the back end of the second game and call him your closer.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. I don't know. Do you go for this game? Yeah. I think you're probably right. Yeah. Let's just go the A bullpen and hope our offense can handle it. And then, see what happens in the second game. Maybe Nick Martinez can give you 6 or 7 in the second game. But what
I don't Nick Martinez at 210 and have him throw 3 innings. Burn a starter and yank somebody up.
Yeah. I don't know about that. Only
that would suck. That's probably dumb. I'm just throwing the options out here.
only get 3 innings out of Martinez, I don't think, and then leaving you really high and dry for the next game is probably not the best idea. But what I think Tito's going to do, though, is I think because it's a tie game, I think he probably throws like Richardson or Barlow. I bet you he goes with those guys and holds on to the A team. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he goes with the A bullpen. But I guess I don't know why I feel this way, but I feel like Richardson's getting in this next game.
Yeah, I would
or
say
in this suspended game. Yeah,
right-handed lineup too. I think Richardson to flip guys around. They were stacked up against Lodolo and kept their righties in the game. And so a couple of those guys are switch hitters, so it's not as big of a deal. But I would imagine the first person out in the top of the 7th tomorrow is a right-handed pitcher. And Lyon Richardson makes the most sense because he's a 2-inning guy normally anyway. And it's not out of the question for Lyon to come in and just give you all 3 you scratch across the run and you hang on for dear life and he gets you a win. I think the interesting piece is going to be, let's say he mows down the top of the 7th, mows down the top of the 8th, you scratch across one run and he's sitting at like 25 pitches. Do you let him close it out and hope that you save everybody for game 2? Or do you run it like a normal closer and give yourself the opportunity? You know what I mean? Like, do you switch it around?
Another interesting point too is that they still have their lefty bats on the bullpen or on the bench. Like we've burned ours, they haven't. And theirs are Corbin Carroll, the MVP candidate, Josh Naylor, and Pavin Smith. So like they have some guys, they have some bats there. So maybe that means we see a lefty. Maybe we see Rogers or Suter. Maybe we say, hey, Suter, go finish this game. And we keep Carroll, Smith, and Naylor on the bench. So that's maybe another interesting one. That's an interesting point too on whether we go righty lefty there. I just wanted to say with just as an exclamation point on the Wade Miley situation, I'm rooting for him. I love that dude. I think that dude is awesome. I think he's a great Reds, in the feather of the cap of Reds history. I think he will be somebody that I will always look back fondly on. I think he's a great guy. I just don't know how much his arm has left. I'm obviously rooting for him. I'd love for him to do it, but we'll see. So I think that gets lost sometimes when we get critical about guys. It's like, I'm obviously still rooting for you. I would love to see Garrett Hampson go 5 for 5, but I just am kind of realistic about what I think he's able to do. So
and these guys turn into punching bags because we're upset at the situation. And when the wins don't stack up, Garrett Hampson, and Kirby said, it's the price of doing business. You get a major league salary. Guess what? You're going to be the punching bag to the news cycle because what you brought is not what we wanted. It's not what we expected. It's not the bopper in the middle of the lineup that we would hope that we would go and acquire via trade or, in free agency in the offseason. And so when he shows up and he's just the next sign of mistakes by this front office, I think that's, Garrett Hampson. Yeah, I'm sure he's a great guy. You know what I mean? I bet he helps old ladies across the street and, he opens doors for women and stuff like that. I'm sure he's a great dude. But when he comes in and he's hitting 167 and he's supposed to fill a bench role on a team that is keeping Reese Hines down in AAA and somebody that's kind of a fan favorite, it's just hard to, it's a tough pill to swallow on days when we have those situations going on. But no, I'll be pulling for Wade as well. He always seems like a great professional. I hope he, throws some knowledge out there too. I think there's still some young guys that can learn from a seasoned veteran like Wade Miley. I think Lodolo still got a long way to go in this thing.
Completely agree on that.
Yeah,
he's like a coach, another pitching coach out there as well.
And coming from the left side and somebody that's, been able to avoid injury up until the Tommy John here recently, somebody that's been an innings eater and a rubber arm. If Nick Lodolo, if a little bit of that can wear off on him, awesome. Let's go.
For sure.
Tell me tell me your ways. I'm just a young grasshopper here. So it would be great to see. Go ahead.
Yeah, so Nick is chiming in. Pavin Smith has a 142 WRC plus. I'm assuming he means against right-handed pitching. I did some research for the pregame show here. They are second in WRC plus with 125 against right-handed pitching and 13th at 95 WRC plus against left-handed pitching. So lefties are there. They're not as much of a kryptonite as they are to the Reds, it seems, but yeah, I think I've changed my mind. I think Suter is the first guy out of the pen. I think Suter is going with the expectation of trying to go 7, 8, 9. That would be my guess, and keep Carroll, Naylor, and Pavin Smith on the bench. That's what I think now. We get a nice little run there, go in and steal one in the suspended game. That's my guess now.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And it's nice that the bullpen's set up with 3 different guys that can go multiple innings. And so you've got Leon Richardson, you've got Brent Suter, and I still consider Graham Ashcraft a great long reliever that can give you 2 to 3 in a spot like this. So I'm all for it. Whoever it is, we're rooting for you. Good luck out there at 2:10 tomorrow. Hopefully it's dry and you get the opportunity to put this thing away. Just a really interesting way that this thing went tonight. And I think, if you didn't watch the game, if you're not familiar with kind of what shook out tonight, the Reds are done. The Reds are beat at 3-2, bottom of 5. They could have called it right then and there. For some very strange reason, Major League Baseball, the umpires, the grounds crew, whoever it was, said, nah, keep playing. We're good. Because once we stop, we know that this system that's moving through is going to drown this thing, and we're not getting this thing in tonight. And I think it was less than an hour after they actually covered the field in the sixth inning that they said, we're suspended until tomorrow. So they knew full well what weather was coming and what was going to happen if they decided to stop that game. You'd be looking at a situation where we're talking about a 3-2 loss if they don't go on into the sixth inning. The Arizona D-backs, if you're on their, fan forums and things like that tonight, if I'm them, I'm heated.
Yeah.
Like, one,
why did we play the sixth inning?
Yeah, one, playing a dome. Two, why in the hell did we play the sixth inning? So, I love that we've got that opportunity, and we made the most of an opportunity. You let us up, you let us breathe, and Christian Encarnacion-Strand delivered a blow that keeps us in this thing, and hopefully still gives us a chance to win a series this weekend that we direly need. So excited to see it. You want to kind of preview? So what was 410 supposed to look like tomorrow?
Yeah, so 410 is supposed to be the game at 410 is supposed to be Ryan Nelson for the Arizona Diamondbacks, who is 2-1 with a 3.43 ERA, versus Nick Martinez. So, who is 3-6, but has a 3.8 ERA, 3.89 ERA. So he's pitched pretty well, especially recently, avoiding the walk. And, I've been pretty happy with what Martinez has been doing. So Ryan Nelson actually started the year in the bullpen for Arizona, kind of giving them their long man, giving them long relief. But then has come up and started a couple games. He is the starting lineup, or the starting rotation for Arizona, is just absolutely decimated with Jordan Montgomery and Corbin Burns, and then until tonight, Eduardo Rodriguez on the IL. So he's been forced into starting duty, and he's done okay. His last start was against Pittsburgh when he went 6 2/3, 0 earned runs. But that's Pittsburgh. So we can hope we can do a little bit better than that. Hopefully we'll be riding the win of the suspended game, that we can keep the bats going. But he throws a lot. I think he throws 4 or 5 different pitches, and is somebody that, right-handed hitter, I would love for us to be able to jump on early. Yeah, 4-seam, cutter, slider, curveball, and then change up only 5% of the time. But he throws mostly 4-seam fastball. So if we can get mostly 4-seam fastballs for a team that hits right-handed pitching a lot better, I really like our chances there. And especially if we had to use more of the bullpen in the first game, that it would be great to kind of get out to an early lead, and then, just kind of get our pitching through that way, where they're not pitching stressful innings. Because remember, Arizona can rake. Like they are very good, especially against right-handed pitching. So, it's kind of like when we play the Cubs. It's like, I don't care. We're up 4 or 5. We need to keep scoring, because, there's always that threat that they can come back.
Yeah, and what Nick Martinez, I think, provides for us is a great opportunity to handle a weird situation. I mean, I think we can all admit tomorrow's just strange. You're going to finish a game, then you're going to start another, and you have to be a professional, or 2, somebody that's used to these weird situations. He's gone back from starter to reliever to all over the place, and he's been that guy. When you need him in a spot, he's there and ready to deliver. And I feel like, doing what the team asks is what Nick Martinez is one of his best attributes. His stuff's not the best in the world, but he's professional and he's consistent here recently. And so I think going into tomorrow, the Reds get Elly back. You just tied a ball game up. You've got CES that, is a bat there. You've got an opportunity to go out and really attack these guys early. And I think the fact that the top of the lineup's up is going to be awesome. I mean, you're starting off the top of the 7th with the top of your order up. So it somehow managed to get Elly back in there. You get Martinez, in game 2, just in a weird day. I'm glad it's him and not Abbott or Lodolo or somebody that might be more regimented and needing to be, on their regular schedule. It's somebody that, understands what it means to get ready in a hurry, has done both the bullpen and starting side with some recency. So, I know it's weird, but these guys a lot of times are such creatures of habit that one little, mix up in their pregame routine and things like that can lead to negative detriment. So really looking forward to tomorrow. I think we've got an amazing opportunity. I think you and I are back for the post game. Tomorrow is a 4:10 start, so look for us sometime around 7:30. I think we'll be ready to roll. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Regardless how it goes out, we'll probably let game 1 shake out. Then we'll have 2 box score recaps for you, and then we'll have double the fun tomorrow night. But Chat, we really appreciate you. Tuning in tonight. We ended up with almost 500 people after a 3-3 tie and a suspended game in the 6th inning. So we're here. We're hoping you're listening to this. If you're getting a chance to get out and enjoy a little bit of dry weather here on this Saturday, happy Saturday to you for the folks listening tomorrow. But yeah, your Reds have 2 today, and it's 2 very winnable games thanks to a big blast from Christian Encarnacion-Strand that tied things up in the bottom of the 6th before play was suspended. So 3-3. Reds and D-backs today at 2:10, picking it back up 40 minutes after that for game 2. We'll look for our Cincinnati Red Legs to get this thing off the schneid. Mike, you got anything else to finish us off?
Yeah, just please like the stream and subscribe. It's been it's been really cool being able to do these post games with you too, you and Corey T. So please keep doing that. Keep sharing it with your friends, and download the podcast. You get to, even if you listen today, if you download it on your podcast app, it gets credit for that, and that weirdly does help the algorithm as much as that seems crazy. So yeah, I really appreciate it. I really hope that we can really get off this night and win 2 tomorrow. How crazy would that be? We're in here tomorrow, just stoked that we just played a team that is ahead of us in the standings for the wild card. We just go out and take 2 from them. That would be great. So I would really like that. Hopefully we'll have a nice winning edition of Reds Chatterbox Reds tomorrow night.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think tonight feels like a win in of sorts, because being down 3-2 and knowing that game could be over, the umpire and the grounds crew gave us a win tonight. We'll take the tie all the way to the bank. So appreciate everybody. Again, like and share the stream to as many people as you can. We look forward to talking with you a little bit tomorrow night. It'll be after a 2-game sweep of these D-backs when your Cincinnati Reds get back in action. But until then, we're going to take off. It'll be Mike and I again tomorrow. Mike, we do appreciate it, man. It's been a lot of fun adding you to this team on the weekends. It's been a blast for sure. So we appreciate you. And as always, everybody, go Reds.